Well, hello and welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, Jared.
This is the Fort St. John Association for Community Living Shining Brighter podcast, episode 1. Yeah. So we're going to be putting a spotlight on success stories and solutions to the problems of exclusion and apathy in the world of people living with developmental disabilities and complex needs. And my name is Jared. I am the stewardship manager at the association. And my role is to help tell stories of the individuals we support and the staff that we get to work with every day that are the foundation of our work. And I'm looking forward. We're going to be inviting different people from the community to join us and listen to them and hear from them. And I get to invite people to contribute and be a part of our work. And it's a real joy. And today, for our very first episode, we have with us here at the Shining Brighter podcast, our CEO, Jordan Soggie. And Jordan, it is awesome to be doing this. Jordan has been the CEO at the association. So it's like FSJACL, FSJACL, Fort St. John Association for Community Living, the association. Any other like names that we're known by?
No, I think you covered it with FSJACL.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's one of our favorite internal ones. And I think the external community is going to latch on to that.
Catching.
Yeah.
It's catching.
Yeah. So you joined as the CEO in the summer of 2023, and lots of experience, diverse range of experience and passions. You've been involved in housing and government work and social enterprise, and but your focus has been on wanting to have an impact on people's lives, and that's your aim in our organization. And you're a servant leader. I know that. I've seen it. You got a family and a wife and some little guys that keep you busy, and so we'll look forward to hearing about that. And you have a very person-centered approach to what you're doing, and it's good to get to be here. And our focus today is kind of two-part. It's get to know Jordan, hearing from our CEO, and also why in the world are we doing a podcast? And we're going to chat about that. Jordan, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, who you are, and what does it mean to be the CEO of FSJACL?
Fair. I think you did a good introduction. I don't think I really needed to tell too much more, but I'll do my best. I think you hit it on the head with impact in people's lives. Like the work that I've done in my working career has been trying to better the lives of others and create more opportunities for people that they maybe didn't have before. And that's really my goal in everything that I do, is to create opportunities for people that they might not have had otherwise. And I think part of the attraction of coming to the association was just that our board has this very similar mission of empowering people and helping people to live a very fulfilling life and living a fulfilling life in the community, not just for the individuals, but for the people that are a part of the association. And we really clicked on that mission, and that was where the decision was just clear for us that we needed to come up here and join this group and help make that happen in such a unique community like Fort St. John.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been good. But I think your question to about what's it like being the CEO of the association, I think that question makes me think of the nature of this position. It's not quite like when people think CEO, they think, big company, checking the balance sheets, making sure everything's running that way, always looking at, are we making enough money? But I think it's way more about the impact pieces for us at the association. I think that's part of it. I think a big part of my role is stewardship. I'll steal a little bit of your title.
I'm glad to hand some to you.
Is stewardship. I've been entrusted to take care of the people that are engaged in services with us. I've been entrusted by the families, by CLBC, by our board, and entrusted by our teams that I'm not going to lead them down a path that's going to go against our values, and that we are going to move towards finding solutions that we are passionate about solving. And I think that's humbling, and it's an honor to serve in that way. So that's what it means to me. I'm humbled by the experience to serve, and appreciate that level of trust, and want to do good by everybody who's involved. So
yeah, and you talk about problem solving, and that is often the nature of leadership. Can you describe for us a little bit what are some of the problems that you get called in to solve as a part of your role, the things that you're deeply invested in?
Yeah, not as many as used to be. I think the biggest thing is the team, is building the team. Getting the right people in the right spots, making sure that people are thinking of the right outcomes, and reminding them of those pieces, and giving them autonomy to make decisions that are aligned with our values. And then if they make a decision that's outside of that, then we remind them and get them back on track. And I think getting to that point and building that team is the hardest part of the problem to solve, is making sure that you have the right people that are all focused on the right outcome. Yeah.
Having multiple problem solvers at the same table.
With different expertise, different specializations, different focuses. And I think, as an organization, we've been very focused in the past about making sure that everybody has experience in direct support, which I think is invaluable to make sure that you keep that in the forefront of your mind. But part of us dealing with problems that are outside of those services, in terms of, the sector of employees, in terms of the sector of government funding and grants and community engagement. It's good to get people with expertise in different areas to support those who are so gifted and focused on the actual daily supports that the people that we support need. And I think that's been a shift, but I think we're seeing the fruit of that, having people with different specializations, from our IT and tech support to our community engagement to our focus on finance, and on good stewardship and in human resource, all across the board. Having those people with that focused specialization with the mission in mind is the problem to solve.
Yeah. Well, a question I put in, I don't know if other people wondered or not, but who's your boss?
Yeah, it's fair. It would be the board of directors, who are volunteers from our community. And I've worked with boards before, and I couldn't dream of a better board than the board that the association has. Nice. Like, they are rock stars of our community. They come from varying backgrounds, varying levels of different expertise, but they are so passionate and focused on their role and doing it well, and holding me to account and empowering me to do what I need to do to best support the association. And they're very strategic and mission-driven people. But yeah, the board of directors is who I report to, and I'm their one employee. And they represent the members of the association and the community. So that might be a community member who's become a member, signed up for membership. I mean, because they have a family member who receives services, or they're just passionate about the work that we do in the community, and they want to have a say in how things go. So that's who I report to.
Yeah. And it's the beautiful thing about a local nonprofit is you have such buy-in at such a local level. People who live here, they're impacted by the work that we do. They're invested in it. They have other resources and connections, and I think helps make it so community-minded, lends perspective that really allows us to be effective and efficient, and the depth of what we can do. So yeah,
absolutely. Like, I've worked in organizations that were nonprofit but had head offices somewhere else, and there was always a disconnect that made it a struggle at the local level. And I think we're seeing more and more of that across British Columbia, where there's these larger nonprofit organizations coming into smaller communities, bringing in their services. And while that's a good thing, I think there is always going to be an element of disconnect with those larger organizations. And so our goal is not to be that. Mm-hmm. Our goal is to be the best that we can be for Fort St. John, yes, and to bring in the best to support this community. Mm-hmm. It's not about growth before anything else. It's about quality of service and support and advocacy and empowering people to shine. Yeah, shining brighter.
What are some of the things that bring you the greatest joy in your work?
I would have to say when I can see people on our teams taking action and being confident in their decisions towards outcomes that we've all talked about. Mm. Like an example is we've been talking about trying to figure out a housing solution for some folks, and connected our director of service, Tanya, with BC Housing and asked her, can you get this sorted out, find a way for us to be able to get some more housing? And she's done that in spades, lightning fast, by the way.
Nice.
And on top of that, then when we're trying to figure out a solution for somebody else who we support, in finding a good housing option for them, she comes up with this beautiful idea that is so person-centered and just giving the individual exactly what they've been asking for so long in a way that is fundable by our service provider CLBC, or sorry, our service funder CLBC. And it was just, that makes me, fills me up with joy to just see that, we have such amazing people to work with that are so passionate about this. And it's great to have everybody in the same room doing the same, focused on the same thing from different perspectives. So no, that kind of stuff brings me joy, as well as when we have, are able to support somebody who so many other people or so many other agencies have said they're not supportable, they don't want our help, they're too complex or they're too dangerous. Love that one. And then it's just, let's have a coffee. Yeah. Let's go for a walk. Mm-hmm. Crazy idea. And be relational. Yes. And connect and care and really look at their needs and address those stressors in their life so that they can cope. And then you're able to see a different person come out. That's really,
makes me think of one of the favorite activities of our community connection group, Diamond Art. And they get, if you've ever done it, all those little beads, right? And it just seems overwhelming. But when you start putting them down one by one, in matching the right colors, put them in the right place, all of a sudden like this beautiful piece of art comes together. And that's a lot what you're talking about, is getting to see that picture of support come to life with all the different pieces getting put in the right spot, and the benefit of it to each person involved. Right? Yeah, no, that's so good.
Love it.
What are some of the more challenging aspects of your role?
I think it's when we're wading through the mud. I'd like to call it that, I guess. When we're in the middle of trying to push through to an outcome that is going to be so great, but the muddy part is why we haven't done it before, as we're afraid to get into the mud, afraid to wade through the challenges, and we might think that they're too great or too much to do, or not sure how to make it through. That's probably the harder part. the more difficult part. Like for an example, like the association's been talking about that they need more space for a long time. And so we were like, okay, that's what we want to get to. That's where we're going to go. Now we've been wading through the mud for that now. We bought a new building, we moved people, we've been navigating through the split of space versus services and the office, and navigating through the challenges of that. And now we're at the place where, you know, the demo has started on our community center so that we can get the renovations going. We find things that we didn't expect to find, and timelines get pushed back, you know, expectations change, but the muddy part is the hard part. But we're getting there. We can see the clean grass on the other side of the mud pit, and that's probably the hard part. But yeah, it's worth it to get to the greener pasture.
There's a plug for keep listening to this podcast, because like over time you're going to hear more and more how the mud's getting cleared out. And
before we jump into another mud pit.
Yeah, right.
The mud doesn't go away. Let's be clear.
True. Yes. Yeah.
It's on to another battle after that.
And but it'll be fun to think. And I mean, this is the amazing thing. You know, it's kind of sidetracked, but we're celebrating 65 years of this organization, and what has already been accomplished, and the mud pits people have gone through, and the work that's been done, and the momentum that's there as we go ahead. You know, we've been talking this year building for the next 65. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but we can build on what's been done, and at the end of the day, you know, supporting the individuals we support to have those full and meaningful lives. That mission is just going to keep moving us ahead, keep moving us forward.
Sorry about that.
We're all good. So on a more just practical level in your role, how many direct reports, how many people report to you, and what are some of the things that they're responsible for and that they contribute to the team?
Oh man, go through the list here, I guess. Well, we have our director of finance, Brandy Longley. Brandy was a great person to add to our team. We, with a bunch of bleeding hearts and people who are just about caring for people, the numbers and the sheets are the place where our eyes sometimes glaze over. And bringing Brandy on was so needed for us to build that strong team to be able to do the things that we want to do, to be able to wade through this mud pit with her support.
And let's be clear too, Brandy cares for people, but she also cares about numbers.
That's
which is
I mean.
A great combination.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that. No, she has such a heart for people, and there's a lot of times you'll see a finance person in other organizations who are just they just do their finance stuff, but Brandy wants to be involved in the lives of the people that we support. She wants to be involved in the houses and the organization, and it's such a amazing thing to see.
And she makes great cupcakes.
She makes great cupcakes. It's dangerous. She brings them in, my goodness. But no, without Brandy's support and guidance through all of the challenges that we run into, and that ability for her to communicate the financial boundaries that we have for each program even now, is bringing us to a whole other level. Mm-hmm. So it's so necessary, and I'm so grateful for that. Another great person that we have on our team, Tanya Neal. I mentioned her earlier. She's our director of service. Tanya's been doing this for 18 years, supporting people. Started direct support, working her way throughout different areas of service. And her heart is 100% in, and her mind also is right there as well. Her goal, I couldn't say what her why is, but if I could guess, it would be to see people receive the best person-centered support possible.
Yeah.
And I've heard her say that a few times, and for some people, they might think that stops at a certain point, but for Tanya, I think it goes tenfold further. Mm-hmm. To really see them be empowered in a way that is really unique. So she reports to me as well and oversees our services in our community, and direct communication with COBC. She does a great job at keeping them happy, where I tend to tick them off. So it's very thankful for her for that. Of course, we have Abby Musil, who's our human resource manager. Abby is just gifted with people. She knows how to care personally, and very organized, very fair. And that's a really, really important thing for me with HR, is just being fair and giving people grace. I think she does a really good job there, and that's a skill that is hard to train.
Right.
It's really an inherent quality of a person. So we're very blessed to have her in that role. Another great person that works with me on a regular basis would be Kay, of course, our administration manager. Kay is the Swiss Army knife of all things administrative. Yeah, a beautiful brain. I always tell them that they have a beautiful brain. and
a wizard.
A wizard, yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, like between their ability to structure things in a complex, deal with complex structures, with the tech challenges that we run into, security pieces there, and really building up the capacity of the administrative team. That's a huge gift. And then we have Jared, stewardship manager. This guy, he's something else. I don't know what I could really say about him. No, I'm on the track now. I got to keep going. I'm not going to stop. Jared is a servant-hearted leader through and through. Jared is very gifted with the community and respected by our community. Very connected to the community. He does things with purpose. He wants to see people succeed, and he wants to see the people that we support succeed and be given opportunities that they otherwise would not have. I think we're very aligned that way. And he is way better at mingling with the crowds than I am. Like, that's not my thing.
You're getting there.
That's why we brought Jared on, is to help with those areas and connect with the community, draw them in and connect them to our mission, because we need our community to partner with us. We need people to see what's going on and why we're doing what we're doing, so that we have that advocacy from our community. It's such a huge missing piece for us to be able to have the voice, or to help give the voice to the individuals that we support. It is that part. So I'm very grateful for the work that you've done and the work that you're doing.
Very kind.
It's helped us be able to raise the money we need to raise. It's helped us to gather people together. So I'm very grateful for that. It's a big part of the work that we're doing now. And I'm
someone that helps keep the structure of all of our places running.
Oh yeah,
it's newer.
I think Sam, I think his name is. Yes.
Sam. Sam the man.
Sam, our facilities coordinator. Sam, yeah. I'm trying to think of what I could really... Sam is a unique character, and I mean that in the best way possible. I say that, and then I'm like, oh, that's a bad way to explain it. Sam is a unicorn. Sam is great at direct support. Sam is great at communicating with people. He has a calming quality about himself. Like, he's analytical, but he's so in tune with what's going on with people. He's organized, and great at administrative pieces, but he's also just good with his hands at fixing things and getting in there and making sure people have what they need. He also is just very focused on serving, and I love that about him. And he's not your regular facilities guy.
No, because how many other nonprofits have a psychologist in training as their facilities guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't know where you would even pull that metric. But yeah,
it's pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
Like it definitely adds to the team, and the fact, like you said, that he worked right as a support worker, and so when he goes in to fix a door, he often knows the individuals or knows of them in unique and personal ways, and that really adds a wonderful dimension to what he does.
It does. Because that's that was a challenge we were having with finding the right person, was making sure that they had the right perspective and understanding of the work that we do to be able to come in and do it appropriately. And no, he's been doing an amazing job with that. We're very blessed to have him doing the work that he's doing, especially as we move closer to the fruition of the projects that we're working on in terms of expanding facilities and housing. So
yeah, right on.
Yeah, it's a good team.
Yeah, good for you. You're doing great. Story time. Let's hear a story. Can you give us a bright story from your time with FSJACL in the last couple years?
Oh, that's hard because a lot of them aren't mine. Not mine to share.
By extension.
Yeah, like I think there's a lot of stories from the work that the individuals have experienced through the support of their staff, the support of their teams. I'm trying to think of a good story that's mine to share, because I don't want to steal anybody's. Don't want to steal nobody's thunder.
Well, it could be a team member story too.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Oh, that's fair. That is fair. I think a good story. So, I was just recently in Toronto for a working group called Leading Urban Change. And it's basically 20 leaders from across Canada, all working on different solutions towards housing. Because it's a problem for everybody, but for us specifically, it's a problem for people with disabilities and complex needs. And so we were asked to attend this workshop. And while we were there, we had Minister of Housing there, board members of CMHC, which is Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation. It's kind of a big deal. We had some CEOs from other organizations and housing fund managers that manage $350 million funds. Everybody's coming, and architects, people coming with these different solutions to unique problems. And it was really, I forgot somebody. Sorry.
Pause the story. Go back.
Go back. I forgot. My executive assistant, my brain, and the reason why I forgot her is because she's been sick for the last 3 days, and I haven't had the other part of my brain.
Victoria, you
Ray,
are needed. This guy's falling apart.
Help.
We're having her
bad.
on next.
I knew I forgot something.
We're going to do a whole episode on what does it mean to be Jordan's brain.
Yeah, that's a problem. No, we can cut that somehow, right? No, probably not.
This is
Victoria Ray is my executive assistant, and Victoria has an interesting story because she applied to be the receptionist for us, or to be an administrative assistant at the front for the association. And we were at that point still talking about the idea of having an executive assistant to support me and the board with the work that we do. And some people might wonder, what does that even mean? Like, what's an executive assistant do? And well, they do a lot. They do a lot more than people would think. Like, they're involved in pretty much everything that I'm working on, in a supportive role, and helping to make sure that the stuff that I'm working on gets through to the next phase as fast as possible, and making sure that people that are connected along the way don't get forgotten because I get too focused on the work, and then I might I forget things like people sometimes, which is terrible, but that's why that's necessary. And then also for supporting our board, because, you know, we have 9 members of our board who they need onboarding, they need orientation, they need support. There's documents to develop and put together. And when I didn't have the executive assistant, it ended up taking up quite a few days of the week for me preparing for those board meetings. And having Victoria on makes it so it only takes me a couple of hours. And that seems to be with everything that I'm working on. So it basically helps me be more effective in the work that I'm doing and helps the rest of the team communicate and know what's going on, and as well as the board, because I am a person and I have failings and I fail all the time. So she helps cover some of those failings for me. Thank you, Victoria. I'm so sorry. Back to the story of School of the Cities and the leading Urban Change, because Victoria was there with me too.
Right.
So so that was great. But Victoria was sharing about our project that we're doing with BC Builds. And I don't think people really realize how difficult it is to get a project like that to this point. But we have such a unique community. Like, previous roles have tried to get buildings started and built and get through those processes. Getting the land, getting the funding acquired, getting the performance approved, all of those pieces. But this project, this BC Builds project, people just bought in and were on board and saw the vision and are carrying it through. Like when Victoria shared that to that leading urban change group of 20 leaders from across Canada, they applauded.
Wow.
And they were asking, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And we told them we didn't. It was our community.
Right.
Like we asked the city once, can we have this land worth $1.8 million to build a building to support people with disabilities and complex needs? Yeah. That's it. Okay. Well, that's great. And then we go and put in an application to Lisa Helps at BC Builds and say, hey, we have this plan to do this building. We have this land. We want to support people with complex needs and intellectual disabilities have places to live that they can afford, as well as provide housing to healthcare workers. Here's our performa. What do you think? Yep. Okay. Done. And then we put it out there, and we had these builder developers, 6 of them going, yep, we want in. And now we're at the point where we're reviewing those, and in a month we're going to be deciding on who's going to do it. And then it's on to the next phase. And, you know, we're looking at a early 2028 open date. And, you know, that's unreal.
Yeah. That
it's actually happening. It's moving forward. We have such great support from our board. I think without their advocacy, I'm not sure if it would have gone through. And without their willingness to take the risk on such a huge project. Like, this is a $40 million project, likely going to be around that price. Don't know for sure, so take that with a grain of salt. Don't quote me. But it's going to be a big project, and there's a lot of risk involved in doing something like this. But I think this is where having a community that sees the grass on the other side of the mud and knows that that's where we want to get to so bad that we're going to wade through it is huge. Yeah. So that's my story.
That's share. Great. Yes. Love it. And
down the rabbit hole.
No. And I'm sure we'll come back and keep exploring that, or just sharing about this project and where it's at and keeping people updated, because it's a big deal. Yeah. It's going to make a difference. And it's not just about us as an organization, right? Like we're just a part of, meeting very relevant needs right here in our community, and glad to play that part. And
and part of the plan with that building, part of the reason why we wanted to attract and meet a greater need, not a greater need, but a need that impacts more people than just our community, was we wanted to draw attention to our community. We wanted to make sure that they were somehow now connected to the needs of the individuals we support and their families.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody needs access to healthcare. Everybody needs more healthcare workers. So that's why was the driving factor for us to add that in as a piece of this project.
Yep. Jumping lanes a little bit to the work that we do. What's a myth that you would like to bust, or some kind of knowledge you'd like to share related to the work we do that you think could be beneficial to those who are listening? And well, we'll come back to where we're going with this podcast. We're generally assuming at this early point it'll be staff, family members, supported individuals. But yeah, what's something you feel would be a myth that you'd like to break down, or knowledge that would be helpful for people to hear about?
I think within this sector, the idea of supporting people in a person-centered way is to mitigate and remove all risk. And when you do that, you unintentionally take away people's choices.
Right.
And most things that people do in their life that are fulfilling have a requirement of risk and have a requirement for there being a possible loss of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, I think we take away and are not person-centered in this sector that way. And I think that is a myth or a belief that we are actively trying to combat. We've done that by building a really specific team called our Supported Independent Living Team, and helping them identify that, we're not here to protect as much as we are to empower.
Right.
And showing what that focused support, taking risk into consideration, but not taking it away, it really empowers people. And I think that's a really important piece, that a myth that we have to combat is that the removal of risks is not person-centered support.
Good one. Yeah. No, that's really helpful. Anything else that you would want people to know about what you do?
About what I do. I guess I recently heard a good phrase that I've adopted and been following, that I think is really helpful in being able to be a leader that empowers people within their work and allows them to take risks, and helps foster that within teams, is to talk like you're right and listen like you're wrong, and think for the best outcome of others. And I try and filter through, when I'm engaging with people, those three things. I'm going to talk and believe in what I'm saying.
Yes.
But when they're talking, I'm going to listen and process that like I'm wrong, and really try and understand where they're coming from, so that they are empowered and they know that they are heard. And then I'm going to process that, whether I talk like I'm right or whether I think like I'm wrong, and decide on an outcome that is for the best interest of those people. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of when I'm trying to make a decision on something or trying to give direction or support, that's what I follow in a lot of my work. And I guess my door is always open. I've when I first started, I took a lot of time having coffee with as many staff as I could to understand and learn more and be connected to the association at its heart and at its core, because it's not my job or intention to change the association from its core, but to help it grow from that and not be stifled.
Right.
So it's like gardening.
You have lots of experience?
No, farming. I
Okay.
can farm.
Saskatchewan,
but
yeah.
not much of a gardener. So
But we
bad
get the
example. You get the
analogy,
idea. Yeah. So
What excites you about the future for the association?
just that the team that we're building.
Yeah.
The team that we're building excites me, and where we're all heading, and how we're wading through, and how we're seeing some of these outcomes come to fruition. That's what excites me. I'm excited for when the community center opens and we have our opening celebration and people are employed there in their first jobs, and they have the opportunity to learn in a safe and supportive environment, but it's also a real business. Then they're paid a fair wage to be there. I'm excited about that. I'm excited for our SIL team to have, and our community connections team and our homes to have a place to gather again, right. have suppers, have activities, invite the community in. I'm excited about that. I'm excited for us to have better suited housing. I'm excited for our partnership with Eyes on Realty. That's huge. That's going to open more doors for private owners to work with us on housing solutions rather than just relying on BC Housing and CLBC. Now we can engage with the private market and getting them involved in addressing the housing needs for people with disabilities. Like, that's huge. That's the majority of the market here. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited for our BC Builds project because that's going to set us up for our housing needs for the next 20 years. Like in 2 years' time, housing's not going to be a problem. Mm. That's a big thing to say, but it's not going to be a challenge, as much of a challenge at all for the people that we support, because we're going to have units that we own. We're 10 timesing our portfolio mm-hmm. of units and purpose built units. And we're going to have, I'm excited for Foundry, which is going to be a part of our building. Like that's part of our gap of services that we have is that multidisciplinary team for supports from youth to adulthood. And Foundry is a clinic of multidisciplinary experts focused on youth supports from 12 to 24. That gap, that age gap is huge for the public, but also huge for our sector of people that we support, because if they're involved in child and family services, right. Once they age out, they're on their own to get set up. And Foundry is going to help facilitate that along with us, and they're mm-hmm. going to be in our building. So we're going to have a great connection there. I'm very excited about that. And, I think I'm excited for the endeavors that our team are pursuing mm-hmm. and are gaining confidence in chasing after the solutions that they see that fit with this. That's what I'm really excited about, to the point where people are not going to be afraid to chase after finding solutions and seeing such great impacts. So, yeah.
Jordan's excited about people, problem solving, and empowerment.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks, Jared. You shortened it up for me. Appreciate it.
And we're doing it on a podcast. There's transition. Why are we doing a podcast in the midst of like all this stuff we're doing? Here we are on some mics just yapping it up, but there must be a reason behind this. Tell the people, why are we doing a podcast?
Well, we're doing a podcast. This session is kind of the first opening bit, like you've said, episode 1. But part of it, like I've talked to the teams about marketing, and it's not just about marketing. Is not just telling people about who you are and what you do. It's advocacy, and part of advocacy is being informed, and we want this to be a platform of informing the people within the association of what's going on, what's happening, for them to field their questions, for them to come on and share about their experiences and what's working, what's not working, so that we're all on the same page. We don't want to hoard information. We don't want to keep decision-making information hidden. The goal of this is to make it open and available to anybody within the association, including families, including individuals, and eventually the community as a whole, so that once we have a good structure for how we're needing to advocate and connect with people, we can have individuals on here and share the struggles that they're having. And then, like for an example, the dream of this would be able to say, have an individual here sharing their issues that they're having with access to healthcare, and having a Northern Health manager here to also talk about that and what that looks like and what the challenges are and what do we need to do, and maybe have an MLA in here as well. That's an idea.
We've got space.
There's room for
four
enough
mics and a comfortable couch. Yeah.
And it's not, the goal of this is not to bash. The goal of this is not to, complain, but to be problem solvers together and let people witness that, what that really looks like. What does it look like for us to identify what the challenges are in a system? And what does it look like to hear from the people that are working in that system, the challenges that they're facing, and how do we overcome them together? I think that's a really beautiful thing about the North, is that problem solvers are up here.
Yes. So what'll be the benefit? Like, why should someone subscribe? I don't know how many podcasts are out and all the platforms and channels. Why should somebody subscribe to the Shining Brighter podcast?
That's a good question. I think if you give a rip, about people in our community, if you're involved in human services in any way, if you're involved in public service in any way, this is a population of people that this is where we're going to give them a voice. We're going to help them connect. We're going to create a space for them to be heard, and for them to feel that people are listening. And that's important. This was inspired by one of the individuals that we support, who's had his own podcast and he's been doing it all on his own. Well, we wanted to support that and help him grow that platform. Kelly, who will be joining us, I'm sure, in the next few episodes here to come talk about his experience. And, he doesn't shy away from the challenging conversations. Yes. And that's what we want more of. And we want to help other individuals hear people like them advocate for themselves, so that they can learn that self-advocacy.
So how can people get involved in the podcast? It's
a good question.
Helping us create this.
Yeah. How do you think, Jared? I don't know. You tell me.
Well, as we've talked about, right? We want a number of different guests. And so if you're listening to this, we invite you to reach out. Maybe you would like to come on and share your story and be a part of the conversation. As you've picked up, we're pretty informal. Just give us a phone call at the office, or if you see me around, just say, hey, I'd be in for that. We've put the invite out to staff, and even next week, we're going to be doing staff development days. Super exciting, and so we'll put the invite out there as well. But for anybody who's listening, if you feel like, I might have something to contribute, even if you don't want to come on the podcast, but you have a topic or a question, send it in to us. We should create like a podcast at FSJACL.com email. We don't have that yet. No. If you email it, it'll bounce back to you, but we'll talk to Kate and maybe they'll make one. You could send it to Jared.Braun. Jared, Jared. Braun, Braun, at FSJACL.com. Send us a question, topic, something you'd like to hear about, and we'd be glad to come up with an episode around that. And we're looking forward to this. It's going to be fun. Jordan, it's great hearing from you. Any last thing that you'd like to leave the people with before we wrap up our episode today?
Yeah. I think just kind of reiterate what I had said before and challenge to everybody else is, not only in working with your teammates, but also with supporting an individual is, talk like you're right, but listen like you're wrong, and then think for the best outcome of others. I think that's the best way that we can support and advocate and work together. So thank you guys for all the work that you do and for being partners with us in doing this work. We're all doing it in different capacities or ways, but we're all working towards the same mission. So thank you.
Awesome.
Happy to be on the ride with you.
Thanks, Jordan. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Shining Brighter podcast presented by the Fort St. John Association for Community Living. Our mission, if you don't know it, is to support individuals with developmental disabilities and complex needs live and achieve full and meaningful lives right here in our community. And why do we do what we do? It's because empowering people to shine by designing their own lives and reflecting their own unique light makes a brighter world for everyone. So show us your support and help share the light by subscribing to this podcast, sharing it with your friends, and thank you so much. Have a bright day. We'll talk to you later.